New and improved from 2 weeks ago when we saw all of that rain and now the rivers spilling their banks, the Assiniboine in particular. These storms have a real history of bringing a whole lot of rain in a very short period of time. In Moosomin, 50 millimeters in just 20 minutes. That's a real problem. Looking now at the storms, they're moving southeasterly about 50 kilometers per hour. This is the watch that's in place. By the way, we've seen quarter-sized hail with these storms as well. So these are the watches. There are warnings within the watch. The watch means that the conditions are favorable for storms, and we've certainly seen them. The warnings pop up and then drop as the storms move through. So there's more of a flow to the warnings as the storms move from northwest to southeast. But these are the watches that are in place currently, and these are the ones that we had expected. This is exactly the area where we expected the severe weather. And then there's the situation that's happening in Alberta. Storms popping up around the foothills and then sliding to the southeast as well. And these are, particularly dangerous storm cells as well. Not tornadoes necessarily, but there certainly has been some rotation on these storms. I've been seeing all kinds of photos coming out of Claresholm, really spectacular looking shelf clouds. At least, and there are our warnings that are in place. So Fort Macleod on target to see the next storms rolling through. It wasn't a particularly hot day in Alberta. Usually when you get those temperatures up to around 30 degrees, and the storms can be quite severe, although these ones look pretty decent all in all. But temperatures had dropped about 7 degrees or so since Wednesday and have cooled down, but temperatures are on the upswing at this point. Okay, so this is for Friday morning now. There's our cold front. It's just exiting Manitoba, moving into northwestern Ontario. We suspect that you will be seeing the thunderstorms at that point. There's just a little bit of a disturbance moving through Saskatchewan, but for the most part, the long-range forecast is looking pretty promising across the prairies, which is exactly what you need. You need some sunshine with them. So it's really a lot of wet weather in a place that certainly doesn't need it. So we've got the flooding situation in Manitoba as the Assiniboine crests, and now we have another storm, very slow moving cold front that is just bringing, in some cases, 50 millimeters of rain in about a 20-minute period, and that is going to cause localized flooding in an area that's already concerned about flooding. So we've got those warnings and watches in place. There's that area we're talking about, that heavy rain. Moosomin, as I mentioned, that was one of the areas that saw the heavy rain in the short period of time. But Saskatchewan out of the warning. Plus, we've got hail, quarter-sized hail in some cases. Now, I've been hearing about nickel-sized hail throughout the area. And this is the river system in Manitoba, if you're not familiar with it. And the Assiniboine is the one that we are primarily concerned about. So, and that's not all. When we go west through Alberta, we've got some severe storms happening there. Now, this is what it looks like on radar, and we get into these dark reds and even these purples, you know that you're talking about severe weather. Claresholm is now out of the severe thunderstorm watch. We had quite a storm moving through there at one point. So Claresholm, High River, and Okotoks are all out of the severe thunderstorm watch, but Crow's Nest Pass, Lethbridge, Cardston, Fort Macleod, McGrath, Tabor, Milk River, all still in the severe thunderstorm watch. And then we've got the warnings within the watch as the storm system moves. So if you're in any of these areas that are under a warning currently, I would take shelter. Under any kind of severe thunderstorm warning or any kind of severe thunderstorm, you have dangerous lightning, heavy downpours. The winds can be damaging and they can produce tornadoes. Never rule that out. So severe weather continues in Alberta, but it is starting to die out. Also, we've had quarter-sized hail. That has been reported in a few places. Nickel-sized hail as well. In Moosomin, we had 50 millimeters of rain coming down in about 20 minutes. But a lot of these areas, we don't have observation stations saying exactly how much rain is coming down. But we know that it is heavy, and we can tell by the radar. And, of course, this is an area that doesn't need any more rain. The rivers are cresting. Assiniboine, people are very concerned about. And this all had to do with the rain a couple of weeks ago. Tremendous amount of rain, close to 200 millimeters in some cases. And now some of these areas seeing it all over again. So that's what we're looking at now, you saw this probably in the Force of Nature Extended. This is one of the areas that has been flooded. People have been trying to protect their homes, a lot of vulnerable homes along the sides of the river or the riverbanks, and they're quite concerned, obviously, about the cresting, and there may be another cresting next week. The severe thunderstorm watch is starting to get a little bit smaller. That's good news. We're not seeing it in as many areas as we had, but then we go west into Alberta, and it's a whole new situation. I have seen photos of golf ball sized hail just southwest of Lethbridge with this storm on Twitter. Just some fantastic photos on Twitter. Not that we encourage people to take any unnecessary risks with these kinds of storms, because they can be quite dangerous. We've got two cells actually. There's one a little farther to the east and then one back to the west, and both of them are warned at this point. So places like Pincher Creek, for example, Lethbridge, are in the severe thunderstorm warning. At this point, Claresholm is out of it, and Claresholm had some really interesting shelf clouds overhead not that long ago. So there's our severe thunderstorm warning. It is within the watch area. The storms are expected to die out. However, they're still going fairly strong at this point in time. And if you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, as you'll see on your screen, you're going to want to take cover in storms like these, because obviously they can be quite dangerous. We'll continue to follow them. Stay with us. A little bit. Some of our watches have come to an end, and some warnings too. These storm cells were producing a lot of rain, torrential rain in some cases. It was a very slow-moving cold front. And, of course, we've been talking about the fact that you don't need any more rain in Manitoba, and these storms have been bringing, in some cases, 50 millimeters of rain in just a very short period of time, like 20 minutes. I mean, it's moving, yes, thankfully, but still not before it brought all of that rain. And some hail as well. With these storms, we've been seeing quarter-sized hail. We saw that in Moosomin, some very gusty winds as well. Everything that's associated with a severe thunderstorm. But the biggest threat, I think, with these ones was the rain and the sheer amount of it. And, of course, we've been talking a lot about the flooding situation in Manitoba, and this is not obviously going to help the situation. Meantime, in Alberta, we've got some severe storms as well. This one moving right through Lethbridge, which is currently in a severe thunderstorm warning. We've had some very large hail with these storms as well. I've been seeing photos of it, ping pong sized hail, golf ball sized hail. That kind of hail can do a lot of damage to property, and you don't want to be outside in it either, because that can actually hurt. So we've got that particular cell, and then we've got another one hot on its heels. So both of these areas are currently under severe thunderstorm warnings. We can see them developing on the foothills and then splitting up and moving southward. Both of them moving about 50 kilometers per hour towards the southeast. And again, these are racing towards the international border as well. So we've had very heavy rain. We've had some very gusty winds as well with these, but hail has certainly been a problem. Check this out. There's some stormy weather. This is from Blackfalds, Alberta on Wednesday. That's when the initial cold front went through. Mark, thank you for this. Remember seeing this and showing the hail everywhere. And that brought temperatures down significantly. We had temperatures in Calgary, for example, because off the top of my head, that's what I remember, 30 degrees. Temperatures today we're closer to 22, 23 degrees. You're going to see a gradual improvement in the weather, high pressure over the next few days, sunshine, and temperatures on the rise as we head towards the weekend. And all of the flooding that had happened afterwards. And then, of course, there's the Assiniboine River that has crested and will crest again. And there are many communities, especially those homes along the river, that are vulnerable to the flooding. And now we've got this to exacerbate the situation. So we've had heavy downpours. We continue to see them, but these storms are dying out. They are moving stateside at this point in time. A lot of the watches and warnings have come to an end. These are the watches that remain in place currently. But yes, not only have we seen heavy rain with these particular storms, but we've also seen hail as well, quarter-sized hail, nickel-sized hail as well. In the west, farther west, towards Alberta, we've got severe thunderstorms as well. A couple of cells moving through at this point in time. We've got the one that just passed through Lethbridge, the city of Lethbridge, but it's still in the county of Lethbridge. And we're looking at some very large hail as well.